Biological evolution. So the evolutionary changes, it starts from living organisms, how the proto or primitive cells appear in the primitive atmosphere, we are going to see. The primitive atmosphere consists of a number of organic compounds, including the gases such as methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and water vapor. And they undergo various lightning process, various conditions, undergone changes, and develop into various amino acids and proteins. Amino acid develop into proteins, and nucleotides develop into nucleic acids like DNA, RNA. Like this, the proto or primitive cells they appear, and these primitive cells they form from the organic compounds or gases present in the atmosphere. So this evolution is called as biological evolution, right? We'll see this biological evolution. Now, the first one, the formation of protobions. Proto means primitive, bions means biotic means life, right? Biological organisms. The first formed primitive life, how it is formed, we are going to see. At first, in the atmosphere, various molecules, abiotically produced molecule, I said methane, hydrogen, okay, and ammonia, all these gases and water vapor, they self-assemble themselves spontaneously. தானாகவே they self-assemble to form droplets in a circular structure, and that is enclosed by a watery solution. And such spherical structures, okay, and droplet like spherical structures and spheres are called as protobions. One example is given here, the appearance of early protobions. And here the protobions is surrounded by outer membrane, and this outer membrane below this, it's formed of lipid bilayer membrane or liposomes, and inside this the proteins are present inside the liposomes. So outer membrane is made up of lipid membrane, and next it's surrounded by protein molecules, proteins inside the liposomes, okay. And the proteins, liposomes or lipids in the solution, it's called as liposome. Liposome means lipids in the solution that assemble to form lipid bilayer theory. So lipid bilayer is the basic structure of all the cell membrane. Some of the proteins present below the liposomes, they acquire the properties of the enzymes because all the enzymes are proteins. There are two different types, cell types appear during the early period. So I said protobions means nothing but the early period in the atmospheric air, the various organic molecules, they self-assemble to form a droplet with the watery solution, enclosed by watery solution, a sphere formed that is called as protobions. The protobions, it consists of the outer layer made up of lipids, liposomes, okay, lipid, okay, it's nothing but the fats in the solution. And next, below this lipid bilayer, what is present inside? Proteins. So these proteins are needed for enzyme activity. Like this, two different cell types appeared at the time. The one form of the earliest cell formed like this, it contained clump of nucleoproteins. Because the nucleoproteins only, these are the microspheres, and nucleoproteins only develop into nucleic acid like RNA or DNA inside, right? Nucleoproteins embedded in the cell substance. It is embedded in the middle. Such cells or protobiont cells at the earlier period, they are the basic, they are mostly similar to the Monera. What is Monera? This is ancestral to the modern bacteria and blue-green algae. They develop from the Monera. We have studied about Monera, Protista. These are the various bacteria from which the modern bacteria develop. So protobions appeared, and from the earliest cell, the clump of nucleoproteins appeared in the cell substance in the middle, and from this the nucleic acid RNA DNA developed. Such cells are similar to Monera. Monera, which is ancestral to the modern Monera, is ancestral to the modern bacteria and blue-green algae. Now already I said proto means primitive cells. Primitive cells in the how they appear in the primitive atmosphere. These organic compounds like methane, ammonia combine. with oxygen by aerobic respiration, aerobic method, and they evolve the gases like carbon dioxide and nitrogen. So when the natural source of food in the ocean is declined, ocean or sea is the primordial sea is mother for various organic compounds. When there is availability of food in the ocean is declined or decreased due course of time. So the ancestors of the various bacteria, Monera, Protista, they evolve or they differentiate into various different type of organisms. So different methods of food requirement, procurement they needed, required, and it may be the various type of food availability for the organisms. So to adapt to the environment, they became parasites, parasitism, saprophytism, predator, animalism, photosynthetic. Those who are having chlorophyll, they can able to produce their own food. Like this various methods of food availability, various organisms they evolve. So what are the basic organic compounds present in the atmosphere? Methane, ammonia, water vapor, I said. In presence of oxygen in the atmosphere, and here the atmospheric oxygen, it combined with the methane as well as the ammonia to form the gases like carbon dioxide as well as nitrogen. Okay, so atmospheric oxygen combined with methane and ammonia to form carbon dioxide and nitrogen, and they evolve water vapor. So the presence of the free oxygen, and here it shows that there is aerobic respiration in the atmosphere. So that is, it yield a large amount of energy by the oxidation of foodstuffs. So Monera, like protocells appeared first, then Protista, various life organisms, food adaptation appeared in the animals, and like this, prokaryotes appeared, invertebrates appeared, then eukaryotes. Prokaryote means they do not have well-defined nucleus. Eukaryotes, they have defined nucleus. Like various organisms evolved later. So this one already I said, the primitive atmosphere with the methane, ammonia, water vapor, and hydrogen, they evolve into various organic compounds. So protocells, how they appear means the organic compounds combine to form amino acid nucleotides. From the amino acid, proteins form, nucleotides develop into DNA, RNA. Like this, the protocell appear. It is more or less like that of, what does it appear? It is like that of the uh, Protobions munera, that is the ancestor of modern bacteria and blue-green algae. Yes. Now coming to the one more experiment called Uray-Miller experiment, is an experimental approach to the origin of life. Uray and Miller, the two important scientists, they proved that the life can be originated from the organic compounds. How it appeared, the new life appeared in the early atmosphere, they proved by an experiment. That's why this famous experiment was named as Uray-Miller experiments. It paved way for understanding the possible synthesis of organic compounds and lead to the appearance of living organism in the primitive earth. In the primitive earth, how the living organism appeared from the organic compounds. So just I'll explain this with a diagram. And here the water is taken in the flask and it's heated water. So the water is heated by means of burner, and the steam, water vapor evolve, and this water vapor, it is passing to a flask or container which contain various gases like methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and here the tungsten electrode is fixed, and this electrode, it can give the tungsten electrode, it will produce the electric discharge. By means of the tungsten electrode, electric discharge will occur. It is more or less like that of the lightning in the early atmosphere, primitive earth. Okay, and by means of this reaction in the flask or container, the gases evolve. When this is passing through the cool condenser, the gases evolve, it's formed into droplets, a liquid form, it is cooled water. Here the water is circulating around it. So the liquid collect the gases, it is collected in the form of droplets or cooled water. It is collected and this contain the organic compound. This organic compound contain various amino acids as well as proteins and various substances. They are collected as a sample. Okay, so this I'll explain once again. Uray-Miller experiment. So first one in this experiment, a mixture of gases was allowed to circulate over electric discharge from a tungsten electrode. So here the mixture of gases is taken, methane, ammonia, hydrogen. What is present here? The tungsten electrode, which will uh, discharge the current or electric discharge from a tungsten electrode. The small flask was kept boiling here, and the steam is coming out, arising or coming out. It was made to mix this water vapor or steam. It is mixed with the mixture of gases taken in the container or large chamber. What are the mixture of gases present in the container? Ammonia, methane, hydrogen. Large chamber. It was connected to the boiling water, so the water vapor mixes with the gases. So now the steam condensed to form water which ran down the U-tube. Now, once again, the steam is coming out after this electric discharge from the tungsten electrode, and the steam is coming out by means of the condenser or cooler. The steam is condensed to form a liquid. Inside, you can see the liquid droplets is collected, and the cool water is circulating around this. And the liquid collector is the cool water when it is passing through the U tube. The steam condensed to form water. It is ran down to the U tube. It was continuously. It was done for conducted this experiment for a week, and the liquid was analyzed. So what happened? What are the compounds present there? Glycerin, alanine, beta-alanine, aspartic acid were identified. All these are the amino acids. So, in the collected sample, water sample, it was analyzed for various proteins and amino acids. It was observed that glycerin, alanine, beta-alanine, and aspartic acid. So later in the same experiments, the formation of other different types of amino acids and nitrogen bases were also noticed. So these proteins, amino acids and proteins and nitrogen bases and nucleotides are the basic for the life. Like this, the new organism, new life was started. From this, the early organisms, Monera, Protista, invertebrates, vertebrates, they evolved in the evolutionary change. Yes, thank you.